In the shadowy forests of the north, where the wind howled like a restless beast and the trees stood tall like silent guards, the Orcs ruled without fear. Their voices thundered through the mountains, and their footsteps shook the ground beneath. For generations no one dared challenge their might. Gorak, the largest and fiercest of all the Orc warriors, stood at the edge of a cliff, his dark eyes scanning the valley below. His muscles rippled as he clenched his massive axe tightly. "No one can stop us," he growled to his brothers, his voice low and steady. "We are the strongest in this world. The humans? They are weak. They hide behind their walls and whisper prayers to gods that never answer." Another Orc Merg laughed, a deep rumbling sound. "They fear us. We are the storm. We break everything in our path." The Orcs had lived this way for many years, hunting, fighting, and claiming the lands as their own. The humans were nothing more than small, scared creatures living in little villages far away. Orcs often mocked them, calling them fragile and helpless. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, Gorak's sharp ears caught an unusual sound. It wasn't the familiar crackling of fire or the hoot of an owl. This was something different, soft footsteps moving carefully, almost too quiet to hear. "Wait," Gorak whispered, raising his hand. "Someone is near." His brothers tensed, gripping their weapons. The forest was silent now, but the feeling of eyes watching them was stronger. Suddenly, a figure darted between the trees. It was small and quick, a human scout, no doubt. The Orcs surrounded the intruder before he could escape. "Why are you here, human?" Gorink demanded, stepping closer, his voice cold as ice. The scout, panting and wide-eyed, looked up. "I'm not here to fight," he said quickly. "I come with a message." "Speak," Gorak said, but his grip on his axe tightened. "The humans ... They are gathering," the scout whispered. "They're learning things, new weapons, new tactics. You should not be so sure of your strength." The Orcs laughed, their deep voices echoing through the forest. "New weapons?" Merg sneered. "Humans with sticks and stones will never beat us." But Gorak's eyes narrowed. Something about the scout's words did not sit right with him. That night, the Orcs sat around their fire, the flames casting long shadows on their rough faces. "Is it true?" asked one young Orc. "Can humans grow strong enough to challenge us?" Gorak stared into the fire, his mind racing. "We have been strong for centuries, but we must not be careless. We will watch, we will wait." Days passed, and strange things began to happen near the Orc lands. Scouts reported seeing humans moving in groups, carrying strange shapes covered in cloth. The Orcs heard tales of sharp arrows that could fly faster than the eye could see, and traps hidden in the forest floor. One night, while Gorak was on patrol, he stumbled upon a hidden human camp. The fires were small and few, but the humans were busy. They sharpened their weapons, practiced with bows, and whispered plans in low voices. Gorak felt a chill run down his spine. "They are preparing for war," he thought. He retreated silently, but inside a seed of doubt had been planted. What if the humans were not as weak as they seemed? What if this new power could change everything? Back at the Orc camp, Gorak gathered his strongest warriors. "We have been kings of this land for too long," he said. "But the humans will not wait forever. We must strike first, or they will become too strong." Merg slammed his fist into his palm. "Yes, let us show them the true meaning of fear." But as they prepared for battle, Gorak could not shake the feeling that something was coming, something unexpected. The day of the attack arrived. The Orcs charged with a roar, their axes raised high. They expected to crush the humans easily. But the humans fought back. Arrows flew like black birds through the sky, striking Orcs before they could reach the ground. Hidden traps caught legs and tore flesh. The Orcs stumbled and fell, surprised and confused. Gorak shouted orders, trying to regroup, But the humans were smarter than before. They moved quickly, using their weapons and their minds. As the battle raged, Gorak locked eyes with a young human archer who stood firm and steady, releasing arrow after arrow with deadly accuracy. "Who taught you this?" Gorak growled, fury burning inside. The archer only smiled, calm and unafraid. "We learn. We change. You will too, or you will fall." The orcs retreated, wounded and shocked. This was not the easy victory they had expected. That night, back in the camp, the orcs were silent. The fire flickered weakly, reflecting their doubt and fear. Gorak sat alone, staring at his axe. "We are not invincible," he whispered. Suddenly, Murg spoke, breaking the quiet. "What if the humans are stronger now? What if we have to change?" The other orcs looked at each other unsure. Gorak stood and faced them all. "We will watch, we will learn. But we will not lose our land. This is only the beginning." In the cold night air, the orcs knew their world was shifting. The fearless rulers of the land were no longer certain. A new chapter was beginning, one filled with danger, change, and the unknown. The forests were quieter now, but the tension hung thick in the air like a storm about to break. Gorak, the great orc warrior, stood at the edge of his camp, eyes fixed on the horizon. The memory of the last battle still burned in his mind. Humans fighting with weapons unlike any the orcs had seen before. "Gorak," came a voice from behind. It was Murg, his closest friend and fiercest fighter. "We cannot wait any longer. The humans are growing stronger every day. We must act before it is too late." Gorak shook his head slowly. "No, we watch, we learn. Our strength is not only in our muscles, but in our wisdom." Murg scowled, his heavy brows drawing together. "Wisdom? The humans have learned things we don't understand. Metal weapons, traps, bows that fly like the wind. How long before they come for us again? We cannot be caught off guard." Gorak turned, his voice calm but firm. "Patience, Murg. Rash action will only lead us to ruin." Meanwhile, far from the orc lands, the humans were changing. In the quiet village of Eldon, a young blacksmith named Kale hammered steel under the pale moonlight. Sparks flew from his anvil, lighting the small workshop. "Kale, you should rest," said his sister Lyra, entering softly. "The men are ready. The leaders say it is time to unite." Kale wiped the sweat from his brow. "I cannot stop now. These swords must be strong. If we want to survive, we must be ready for the orcs." Lyra nodded. "They are no longer the beasts we feared. They are warriors, but we can be stronger, together." Back in the orc camp, a messenger arrived, breathless and anxious. "Gorak! Scouts report the humans are gathering in great numbers. Villages are joining forces. Their weapons grow sharper, and their minds sharper still." Gorak frowned. "This is what the scout warned us before. The humans change. We cannot ignore this." Murg slammed his fist on a tree stump. "Enough waiting. We strike before they become too powerful." Gorak raised a hand, silencing him. "We must know more before war begins. I will lead a small group to spy on their gatherings." Murg grunted, but nodded. "Be careful, brother." Under the cover of darkness, Gorak and 3 trusted warriors moved silently through the forest. Their eyes caught every flicker of movement, every shadow, near the human camp. They watched as leaders spoke quietly, planning strategies, and warriors trained with new weapons. Gorak's heart pounded. They are ready. Suddenly, a young human spotted movement in the trees. "There! Over there!" She shouted, raising an alarm. Gorak and his group froze, realizing they had been discovered. Arrows whistled through the air. One warrior fell, pierced by a sharp arrow. "Retreat!" Gorak ordered, pulling his men back into the forest. Breathing hard, they ran until the sounds of battle faded. Back at camp, Gorak faced his council. "They know we watch. They are prepared for war. An elder orc growled, "What do we do now? Fight or wait?" Gorak looked around the circle. "We must change. Strength alone will not win this war. We need new weapons, new plans." Murg looked doubtful. "How do we fight fire with fire?" "We learn from the humans," Gorak said quietly. "We watch, we adapt. Weeks passed. Orcs began crafting sharper weapons, testing new tactics. Yet tension grew. Some orcs whispered about a traitor among them, someone helping humans. One night, a shadow moved silently near the camp. Gorak's keen eyes caught it. "Who's there?" He called. From the darkness stepped a young orc named Grak, breathing heavily. "I have come to speak," he said. "Speak quickly," Gorak commanded. Grak looked around nervously. "I cannot fight anymore. The humans. They are not the weak creatures you believe. They are strong, brave, and wise. I want to help them." Murg spat on the ground. "A traitor. You will be punished." Grak's voice was steady. "I will help humans survive. Maybe together we can end this war." Silence fell over the camp. Gorak looked deeply at Grak. "Your words are dangerous, but maybe they hold truth." He turned to the others. "This war is not as simple as we thought. We must be smart. We must prepare." Days later, whispers spread like wildfire. Humans had heard of the orc traitor. Their leaders debated what to do with him. Kale, the blacksmith, met Grak secretly. "Why do you come to us?" Grak's eyes held pain. "Because I see a future where orcs and humans do not kill each other. But to reach that future, we must survive this war first." Kale nodded slowly. "Then you will help us." The humans taught Grak their secrets, new weapons, new tactics. In return, Grak shared orc strengths and weaknesses. Yet not all humans trusted him. Some whispered, "Can we believe an orc?" One elder said firmly, "If he helps us, he is one of us. If he betrays us, we will know soon enough." Back with the orcs, Gorak prepared for the next battle. "We are stronger now," he told his warriors, "but we must be careful. The humans have changed, so must we." The night before the fight, Gorak stood alone, staring at the stars. A storm was coming, not just of thunder, but of war and change. As dawn broke, both armies faced each other across a wide valley. The air was thick with silence and fear. Gorak raised his axe. "For our land. For our people." Kale gripped his sword tightly. "For our future. For peace." The battle began, fierce and wild. The orcs charged with their raw power, but the humans moved with skill and strategy. Arrows flew, traps snapped, and warriors clashed. In the midst of chaos, Grak fought beside the humans, calling out warnings, guiding attacks. At one moment, Gorak and Kale met eye to eye, weapons raised. Neither spoke, but respect passed between them. Warriors who understood the cost of war. Hours later, the battle ended with no clear victor. Both sides battered, both sides changed. Gorak lowered his axe, breathing hard. "This is only the beginning," he said. Kale nodded, wiping blood from his face. "We will fight, but maybe one day we will find a better way." As the sun set behind the mountains, the orcs and humans retreated, both knowing the war had grown beyond simple fights. It was a war of change, survival, and the hope for something new. The air was thick with smoke and tension. Both the orcs and humans were recovering from the last battle, but neither side wanted to back down. The forests and valleys between their lands were quiet now, but only for a moment. Everyone knew the peace would not last. Gorak stood tall on a hill overlooking the human camp. His face was marked with dirt and scars, but his eyes burned with determination. Beside him, Murg paced nervously. "They are strong," Murg said. "Stronger than before." "What do we do if we lose again?" Gorak's voice was steady. "We learn. We fight smarter, not just harder." If we charge with brute force, we will lose, Murg grunted. And if we wait too long? Then we are finished, Gorak admitted. But we must be ready. Deep inside the human camp, Kale was busy. Again. He worked late into the night, shaping new arrows and repairing armor. Lyra watched him with worried eyes. Kale, you need rest, she said softly. Kale shook his head. I can't stop now. The orcs are not the enemies we thought. They are more dangerous. A sudden shout interrupted them. A scout ran into the camp, breathless. Orc warriors spotted near the east ridge. They are moving fast. Kale grabbed his sword. Prepare the men. This fight is coming. Far from both camps, Grak, the orc who had joined the humans, sat. Alone by a fire. His heart was heavy. He thought of his brothers and friends in the orc lands and the humans who now trusted him. A voice broke the silence. You betray your people, said a human soldier coldly. Grak looked up. I betray no one. I fight for a future where we do not kill each other. The soldier shook his head. Trust is hard to earn. Grak said nothing more. He stared into the flames, knowing the road ahead was full of danger. The orcs moved quickly through the forest, hidden by the thick trees. Gorak led them with careful steps, his sharp eyes watching every shadow dot. Suddenly, a loud snap broke the silence. An orc tripped a hidden wire. Trap, he shouted, but it was too late. Arrows rained down from the trees. Take cover. Gorak roared, raising his axe to fight. The orcs scrambled, fighting back fiercely. The humans had learned well. Amid the chaos, Gorak spotted Kale directing the archers. The blacksmith moved with confidence and skill. He is no ordinary man, Gorak thought. The battle was fierce and fast. Neither side gave ground easily. Orcs smashed through traps while humans fought bravely with swords and shields. Suddenly, Grak appeared in the midst of the battle, shouting to the humans. Here, behind those trees. Watch out for the flanks. His warning saved many lives. But some orcs noticed him and shouted, Traitor! Gorak saw Grak and felt a sharp pain. You fight with our enemies, he yelled. Grak met Gorak's gaze. I fight for peace. The two warriors clashed, their weapons striking sparks in the dim light. The fight was brutal, but neither gained the upper hand. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the forest. A hidden cache of human weapons had been set on fire. The flames spread quickly, forcing both armies to retreat. As the fire crackled, Gorak and Kale found themselves facing each other once more. Exhaustion in their eyes. This war will never end if we keep fighting like this, Kale said quietly. Gorak nodded slowly. Maybe it is time to think differently. But the path was unclear. Both sides had tasted blood and loss, and old fears ran deep. That night, as the forest burned, leaders from both camps met in secret. Gorak and Kale sat across from each other, the firelight flickering between them. Why should we trust you? Gorak asked, his voice rough. Kale met his gaze. Because if we do not find a way, everyone will die. Grak stood beside Kale. There is another way. We can learn from each other. Murmurs filled the room, but many were silent, thinking. In the end, a fragile agreement was made. A truce to share knowledge and prepare for what was to come. As dawn broke, the forest was quiet once again. The orcs and humans returned to their camps, but something had changed. The war was far from over. But a new chapter had begun, one filled with uncertainty, hope, and the promise of change. The forest felt different, now less wild, but more uneasy. After the secret meeting between orcs and humans, a quiet tension stretched across the land. Both sides had agreed to a fragile truce, but trust was like glass easy to break. Gorak stood at the edge of the orc camp, watching the sun rise over the mountains. His face was serious. The truce may hold, he said to Murg, but I feel danger in the air. Murg spat on the ground. You always think too much. The humans are weak. They cannot break us. Gorak shook his head slowly. It is not strength alone that wins wars now, it is the mind. Meanwhile, in the human camp, Kale sharpened his sword. Lyra watched him closely. Do you believe this peace will last? She asked softly. Kale sighed. I want to believe it. But fear is strong on both sides. Suddenly, a messenger burst into the camp. Orcs near the southern pass. They move. Like shadows, Kale stood quickly. Prepare the defenses. If they break the truce, we must be ready. Deep in the Orc camp, Grak sat quietly. His loyalty had been tested many times, but he still hoped for peace. Suddenly, a voice called his name. It is time, Gorak said, approaching. The humans test us. What do you think? Grak looked up, tension clear in his eyes. I fear some want war, even now. Gorak nodded. Then we must be smarter. We strike only if they strike first. That night, the Orcs moved through the shadows toward the southern pass. They wanted to send a warning, not start a war. Suddenly, a bright light burst ahead in explosion. The ground shook as fire spread. Orcs screamed as arrows flew from the trees. It's a trap, shouted Murg. We've been betrayed. Gorak grabbed a fallen warrior. Run, survive. The Orcs fled, burning and angry. But one figure stood in the flames, a human, holding a strange device glowing with blue light. Gorak narrowed his eyes. What magic is this? The human laughed coldly. Magic or science, it will break your power. Back in the human camp, Kale watched the battle unfold from afar. Who would set this trap? He wondered aloud. Lyra stepped close. Maybe not all want peace. Grak arrived, bloodied but alive. There are those in your camp who want war, and in ours. Gorak clenched his fists. We fight shadows now. That night, leaders from both sides met again, this time with suspicion in their voices. Who is behind the attack? Gorak demanded. Kale looked troubled. We don't know. But it was not the leader's plan. Suddenly, a guard burst in. Enemies are inside. Saboteurs. Chaos erupted. Blades clashed and the fragile trust shattered like glass dot in the confusion. Grak grabbed Kale's arm. We must escape, now. Together, they fled into the forest, knowing the war had only just begun. But this time, the enemy was not just Orc or human. It was fear, lies, and betrayal. As the night deepened, both armies prepared for a fight that would change their world forever. The night air was cold and sharp as Kale and Grak moved swiftly through the thick forest. Behind them, the sounds of shouting and clashing steel faded into the distance. Both men were breathing hard, but their minds raced faster than their feet. They knew that trust was fragile, and betrayal had already begun to poison their fragile peace. Kale glanced at Grak. Who would want to break the truce like this? Someone in our own ranks? Grak nodded grimly. There are Orcs who want war, and humans who profit from it. They fear peace because it means losing power. Kale shook his head. We need proof if we want to stop this. Otherwise, the fighting will never end. Suddenly, a branch cracked nearby. Both men froze. Show yourself, Kale called, drawing his sword. From the shadows stepped a young woman, her face pale but eyes sharp. I've been watching you, she said. My name is Alira. I believe you want peace too. Grak studied her. Why should we trust you? Alira held up a small bag. Because I have information proof that some leaders plan to sabotage the truce. Kale frowned. Give it to us. She hesitated, but then handed over a handful of letters sealed with unfamiliar marks. These letters show secret meetings between humans and Orcs who want war. Grak looked at Kale. This is worse than we thought. As they moved deeper into the forest, the danger grew. Eyes watched from the shadows, and whispers followed their every step. Back in the Orc camp, Gorak stood before his council. The peace is broken. Someone has set a trap. Murg growled, "Then we fight back. Show no mercy." Gorak's voice was cold but calm. "We must be smart. We cannot fall into their games." Suddenly, a scout burst in. "A group of orcs has gone missing near the eastern border. Ambushed?" Gorak asked. "Not sure. They disappeared without a trace." Gorak's eyes narrowed. "This war is not just on the battlefield. It is in the shadows." Meanwhile, Kale, Grak, and Alira reached a hidden cave deep in the forest. They lit a fire and began studying the letters. "These plans show a secret alliance," Alira said. "A powerful group wants to keep fighting, to control both orcs and humans." Kale slammed his fist on a rock. "We must warn Gorak. We have to stop this before it destroys everything." Grak looked troubled. "But can we trust anyone?" There, campfire flickered as the night deepened, and the weight of their mission pressed down. Suddenly, a noise broke the silence, footsteps approaching fast. Kale stood, sword ready. "Who's there?" A figure emerged, a young orc woman, bloodied and scared. "Help! They are coming to kill me." Grak caught her before she fell. Who? Who wants you dead?" She gasped. "The Shadow Clan. They want to stop peace at any cost." Kale exchanged a glance with Grak and Alira. "Then we must move quickly. If the Shadow Clan gains power, no one will be safe." The next day, Gorak sent scouts to find the missing orcs. Among the trees, they found signs of struggle broken. Weapons, blood, and strange symbols carved into bark. Gorak frowned. "The Shadow Clan is real. They fight in secret," Murg spat. "We should crush them now." Gorak shook his head. "No, they are hidden. We must find their leader." Back at the cave, Kale, Grak, Alira, and the orc woman planned their next move. "We need to find where the Shadow Clan meets," Alira said. "It is the only way to stop the war." Grak clenched his fists. "Then we risk everything." That night, under the cover of darkness, they set out toward the enemy's hidden camp. As they neared the clearing, voices whispered in the shadows. The leader of the Shadow Clan spoke, a cruel orc with a scar across his face. "We will burn the humans to the ground," he snarled. "And no traitor or weakling will stop us." Kale exchanged a look with Grak. "This ends now." The four crept closer, ready to fight or capture the traitors. But just as they stepped into the firelight, torches blazed around them. Dozens of warriors had surrounded them. "Welcome, friends," the scarred orc said with a cruel smile. "You walked right into our trap." Kale gritted his teeth. "We will never let your war continue." The battle was fierce. Swords clashed, arrows flew, and the night echoed with cries. In the chaos, Grak faced the scarred orc. "Your hate will destroy us all," the orc sneered. "Better death by war than peace with weakness." With a roar, they fought, neither giving ground. Suddenly, Kale saw Alira struggling against two warriors. He rushed to help, knocking one down. The fight dragged on, but slowly the attackers faltered. Realizing they were losing, the Shadow Clan warriors fled into the dark forest. Breathing heavily, the four friends gathered. "We must warn both camps," Kale said. "The Shadow Clan is real, and they want war," Grak nodded. "If we don't stop them, no peace will come." Alira looked toward the rising sun. "Then we fight for a future free from hate." Back at the orc camp, Gorak listened as the scouts returned with news. "We found symbols of the Shadow Clan," a scout said. "They move like ghosts." Gorak's face was grim. "The real war begins now." That evening, Gorak and Kale met once more, this time with hope and caution. "We fight the shadows together," Gorak said. Kale extended his hand. "For peace. For our people." Their hands clasped firmly, a new alliance born from blood and fire. The forest was still quiet, but the winds of change had begun to blow, and with them came the chance for a future neither orc nor human could have dreamed before. The morning fog lay thick over the forest as Gorak and Kale stood side by side. staring at the horizon. The uneasy peace had shattered, and the threat of the Shadow Clan hung over them like a dark cloud. Both leaders knew this battle was unlike any before. It was no longer just orc against human. It was a fight against those who thrived on chaos. Gorak tightened his grip on his axe. They strike from the dark. We need to find their base before more blood is spilled. Kale nodded, his eyes sharp. We have little time. The Shadow Clan grows bolder. Illyra approached, carrying a worn map. This is what I found in their camp, she said. Their leader moves between these caves near the Black Ridge. Grak frowned. The Black Ridge is dangerous. Few survive the journey. Kale looked at the others. Danger is nothing new to us. We must act now. As they prepared to leave, a sudden noise startled them. Branches snapped nearby. Everyone drew their weapons, eyes searching the shadows. Out stepped a figure cloaked in dark robes. His face was hidden, but his voice was cold. You think you can stop the Shadow Clan? Gorak stepped forward. Show yourself. The figure laughed softly. I am the one who binds your fates. The war you try to end serves my purpose. Kale's hand tightened on his sword. Who are you? The figure raised a hand, revealing a small crystal glowing with an eerie light. I am the Darkseer, and your hope will die here. With that, the Darkseer vanished into the trees, leaving a chill behind. Illyra shivered. He has dark magic. We are in more danger than we knew. Gorak growled. Magic or no, we fight. The group moved fast toward the Black Ridge, the forest. Closing around them like a cage dot as they reached the rocky cliffs, a cold wind blew. The cave entrance yawned before them, black and silent. Kale stepped inside. Stay close. Inside, the air was thick and damp. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, pulsing with blue light. Grak whispered, This is no ordinary cave. It is a fortress of darkness. Suddenly, voices echoed from deeper within. Prepare for battle, a harsh voice commanded. Shadows moved in the flickering torchlight, warriors clad in black armor, faces hidden behind masks. The leader stepped forward, scarred and cruel, the same who had trapped them before. Fools, he sneered. You come to die. Kale stepped forward. We come to end your terror. The fight erupted instantly. Steel clashed, arrows flew, and the dark magic pulsed against their strength. Gorak fought fiercely, swinging his axe with rage. Your war ends now, he shouted. Lyra dodged an enemy's strike, using quick moves to disable her foe. We cannot fail. Suddenly, the Darkseer appeared again, his crystal glowing brighter. He raised his hand, sending a wave of dark energy. Kale staggered, but Grak caught him. We must destroy that crystal. Gorak charged toward the Darkseer, but the magic pushed him back. Illyra shouted, Kale, the crystal! It's in his hand. With a fierce yell, Kale lunged forward and grabbed the crystal. The Darkseer screamed, but Kale crushed it under his boot. A burst of light filled the cave, and the dark magic shattered. The Shadow Clan warriors hesitated, then fled into the darkness. Breathing heavily, the group gathered in the quiet cave. We did it, Illyra said softly. Gorak looked at Kale. This battle was only the beginning, but today we have won a great victory. Kale smiled wearily. Together we can face anything. As they left the cave, the sun broke through the clouds, casting warm light on the forest. For the first time in many moons, hope bloomed. The air over the valley was heavy, as if the land itself knew a storm was coming. Days had passed since the fall of the Darkseer, but neither the Orcs nor the humans could rest. The Shadow Clan had scattered, yet whispers told of their regrouping. In the far east, both sides prepared for what could be the largest battle in their history. Gorak stood on a high ridge, watching the mist roll over the forest. His axe hung at his side, his jaw set. Murg approached, his armor battered but polished. The humans are readying for war, Murg said. They will not wait for the Shadow Clan to strike again. Gorak did not look at him. And neither will we. Far below in the human camp, Kale inspected his soldiers. The men and women stood in tight lines, their weapons gleaming in the pale morning light. Lyra walked beside him, her expression tense. "Do you believe the Orcs will truly fight beside us?" she asked. Kale glanced at her. "They have as much to lose as we do. This time, our enemies are not just theirs, they are ours too." Before the sun reached its peak, a horn's deep call echoed through the valley. Orc banners appeared on the hills, their warriors marching in perfect lines. Gorak led them, his eyes locked on Kale as the two armies met in the center field. Kale stepped forward. "The Shadow Clan will come at sunset. They will come in numbers greater than before. We hold the valley together, or we fall apart alone." Gorak nodded. "Then we fight as one." The two leaders clasped forearms, sealing the uneasy alliance. Past intense preparation. Trenches were dug, barricades built, and scouts sent to the ridges. The soldiers kept glancing at the sky, watching the sun sink lower. Knowing the attack would come soon, Grak moved between the Orc and human lines, giving quiet instructions. "Do not break formation. If you see black banners, target them first. They are the Shadow Clan generals." As the last light of day faded, a low rumble shook the ground. From the eastern hills, the Shadow Clan emerged, hundreds of dark-armored warriors, marching like a black tide. Their banners whipped in the wind, and at their center rode a figure larger than any orc or human, clad in jagged steel. Kale's breath caught. "Who is that?" Gorak's voice was grim. "The Warbringer. Their true leader." A horn blast split the night, and the Shadow Clan charged. Arrows lit with fire streaked through the air, striking the barricades. Orc and human archers fired back, the valley erupting into chaos. The Warbringer cut through the front lines with terrifying strength, his blade sending sparks with every strike. "Hold the line," Kale shouted, parrying the blow from a shadow. "Clan soldier," Gorak roared, swinging his axe and breaking through a knot of enemies. "With me," he shouted to his warriors, driving forward toward the Warbringer. Grak fought at Kale's side, blocking an arrow with his shield. "We must separate him from his soldiers," Grak said, nodding toward the Warbringer. Kale understood. "Gorak, drive him to the cliff." The Orc leader heard and charged, smashing aside enemies with raw power. The Warbringer met him head-on, their weapons clashing like thunder. Kale joined in, striking from the side, while Grak attacked from behind. Fight was brutal. Sparks flew, and the ground shook under their feet. The Warbringer was faster than they expected, but their combined strength began to push him back toward the cliff's edge. Then, in a sudden move, the Warbringer drove his sword deep into the earth. A shockwave burst out, knocking warriors to the ground. The cliffside cracked, and rocks tumbled into the valley below. Kale scrambled to his feet. "We can't hold him much longer," Gorak's voice roared above the chaos. "Then we end it now." With a burst of strength, Gorak swung, his axe striking the Warbringer's helmet and sending it flying. The enemy leader's face was scarred beyond recognition, his eyes burning with fury. "You think you have won?" The Warbringer snarled. "The Shadow Clan is endless." Kale stepped forward, his sword steady. "Then we start by ending you." Together, Gorak and Kale struck one final blow that sent the Warbringer crashing backward off the cliff, his roar fading into the darkness below. The Shadow Clan saw their leader fall and began to break. Orcs and humans pressed forward, driving them from the valley. When the last of the enemy fled into the night, the valley fell silent. The ground was littered with broken weapons and the wounded. Kale turned to Gorak, exhaustion in his voice. "It's over." Gorak shook his head. "Not over. But tonight we live." Grak looked out into the dark forest. The Shadow Clan will return, but so will we. As the moon rose high, the orcs and humans stood together in the blood-stained valley, their uneasy alliance now forged in battle. For the first time, there was a sense, not of victory alone, but of shared survival. And in the shadows far away, unseen eyes watched, waiting for the next move in a war that was far from finished. The valley lay quiet under the pale moonlight, the aftermath of battle heavy in the air. Gorak and Kale stood together on a hill overlooking the field, bodies still and broken, scattered below. The Shadow Clan's power had been broken, or so they thought. Kale wiped sweat from his brow. We fought hard. The Warbringer is gone. This should be the end. Gorak's dark eyes scanned the forest edge, where shadows seemed to twist unnaturally. I don't feel peace. Something waits. Before Kale could answer, a soft rustling came from the trees. Out stepped a figure cloaked in black, the hood pulled low. The figure's voice was cold and calm. You celebrate too soon. Kale stepped forward. Show yourself. The figure pulled back the hood, revealing a young woman with sharp eyes that flickered with strange light. Who are you? Gorak demanded, hand on his axe. The woman smiled faintly. I am the last of the Shadow Clan's bloodline. You defeated their leader, but the clan lives in me. Kale's jaw tightened. Why reveal yourself now? Come to finish what you started. She shook her head. No, I came to warn you. Warn us? Gorak echoed. Yes, she said. The Warbringer was a pawn. A weapon controlled by a darker force, an ancient power buried beneath this land. Kale frowned. What power? The woman's eyes glowed brighter. The Shadow Stone. It gives control over shadows and fear itself. The Warbringer was bound to it, but destroying him did not destroy the stone. Grak, who had joined the group, quietly growled. If this Shadow Stone is real, it means the war is not over. The woman nodded. The stone's power is growing again. Soon, the valley will be consumed by darkness, unless it is destroyed. Gorak stepped closer. Where? Is this stone? In the ruins beneath the Black Ridge, she said. The Darkseer sought to use it. The Warbringer was only its vessel. Kale looked at Gorak. We have to go back. This time we destroy the source. Gorak nodded, but his voice was heavy. We may not all come back. The group moved quickly, retracing their steps to the cave, now silent and empty after their last battle. As they descended, the walls grew colder, shadows stretching like living things. Suddenly, the ground shook, and from the darkness emerged twisted shapes. Creatures born from the stone's magic. Their eyes burned with malice. Kale raised his sword. Prepare to fight for your lives. The battle was fierce. The creatures struck with claws of shadow, but the group held strong, fighting back with steel and will dot as they pushed deeper. Woman led them to a chamber where a dark crystal pulsed with a terrible light, the Shadow Stone itself. It feeds on fear, she whispered. Destroy it, or be consumed. Gorak raised his axe, but Kale stopped him. We need a plan. Illyra stepped forward, the woman who had warned them. The stone can only be broken from within. One must carry it to the surface and shatter it in the sunlight. Gorak looked at Kale. Who will do it? Kale felt the weight of the choice. I will. No. Gorak said fiercely. You've fought enough. Kale shook his head. If the stone remains, this war never ends. With a deep breath, Kale stepped forward and grasped the Shadow Stone. A terrible cold filled him, but he held firm. The shadow creatures closed in, but Illyra and Gorak fought them off, giving Kale a path to the surface. With every step upward, the stone's weight grew heavier, its power trying to drag him down. Outside, the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon. Kale emerged, battered but determined. With one last effort, he smashed the stone on a rock. A brilliant light exploded, shattering shadows and silence. The valley brightened as darkness fled. Kale fell to his knees, exhausted but alive. Gorak and the others rushed to him. "You did it," Gorak said. Alira smiled sadly. "The Shadow Clan is broken, and the stone destroyed. Peace can finally grow." Kale looked up at the rising sun. This is just the beginning for a new era. But as the light spread, a faint shadow flickered in the distance, an unseen watcher with a cold smile. The war had changed. The darkness might be gone, but its echoes remained, and the true battle was yet to come.